Welcome to Exponential Relationships. This is a video that Simon and I are creating to address some of the challenges and concerns that the group has shared with regards to committed relationships. And we're so excited to be here today.
Yay!
Yeah, we are.
Yes, it's exciting. It's exciting to go on this journey together. Yes, and I
Yes.
hope that so many people can benefit from what we're about to say, and not just this session, but future sessions as well. It's very
Exactly
cool.
right. Yes. Thank you, Simon. So I had told Simon that I was going to introduce myself and the topics and then turn the time over to him. So I caught him by surprise. So, but we're happy to be here, and we're bringing our wealth of background and inspiration, our coaching experience to these videos. And so we're hoping that it will be of value and be appreciated in this group. And we're just so happy you're here. If you're listening to this, thank you. And we hope to give you a lot of good value. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about how this came about. We sent out a post to the group and said, "Hey, are there any struggles or challenges that you are facing, and you'd like some kind of ideas about, or is there something that you've struggled with in the past but now you've solved, but you could tell you are pretty sure that other people would benefit from knowing about how they had overcome this struggle." And so I kind of put it out there to the group for both of those areas, and a lot of people responded, both in the chat and also they personal messaged us. And so it was really great to hear people kind of reach out and say, "Hey, this is something that I would like a little bit of tender loving care, a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of help with." And so it's been really fun to interact with those people who've brought their concerns to us. So we are going to address two of them today, and by so doing, the way that we're going to approach it is that Simon is going to share a concept called the ship and the sea, and he's going to explain what that means. And then I'm going to share a concept called belonging cues. And then after we both share our concept, then we're going to tie it back to the specific concerns in the group. And so look for that at the end. Stay tuned for the whole thing. Okay,
Yay!
taking the time over to you, Simon.
All right, thank you very much, Stacy. Okay, so the ship and the sea. So imagine that you are the captain of your ship and you are sailing out to sea. And the sea represents uh, the things that you can't predict or control. Um, what about the ship, though? On the other hand, this is something that is within your control, and the idea is that you want to distinguish between the two. You know, there are things that are outside of your control. This is the sea, but there are things that you can control. That is your ship. For example, you can't control someone else's emotions or their reactions, but maybe you can. That's the sea, but you can control maybe how you respond. This is just one example. So the ship and the sea, it's a great way of trying to explain, not just for relationships, by the way, this can be applied to so many different things. But of course, we're looking at relationships here. So within relationships, I will get onto this at the end, trying to take back the control or focusing on the control of the things in your relationship can free up so much energy and really bring, I don't know how to put it, a new dynamic to the relationships when you start to make this shift. So yes, we'll do an application of that later on. Stacy, you want to talk about belonging cues?
Yes, I would. But before I do, could I just ask you a few questions about the ship and the sea?
Ooh, of course you can.
Okay.
Yes,
I
ask
would
away.
like I would like to know kind of if you could expand a little bit more. You had some, and maybe even tell us about your freebie and how we
Mm.
can get it.
Ooh, yeah, thank you very much. So, I've written a free downloadable PDF, which is called The Ship and the Sea, or Navigating Life's Challenges. And you can get that by going to my website, www.simonburleycoaching.com, and scroll down a little bit, click the link, and you will have all of this, as well as some practical tools and exercises for you to apply this technique to the 12 main areas of life. There are, of course, more, but you can start off there. So head over to the website, and you can get so much more about this concept as well. Yes, thank you very much
Okay.
for that.
Very good, and we can put the links below as well. And so then when we're talking about these concepts and and how they've benefited like us, because this is something that Simon has put into his own life, tried and true, proven it. It's not just like I grabbed this from ChatGPT, I grabbed this from online Google. Like this is like a serious thing that Simon actually coaches his clients on step by step, and then the benefits that they get from this particular concept, but he has a lot of others as well. It's amazing. It like at the beginning of the conversations with his clients, they're just stuck. Like they're not going anywhere because they don't realize that they're putting all of the responsibility for their dissatisfaction on the other person. They're like, if they just changed, if they just fixed this, like we'd be fine. It's all that other person's problem. And so then looking at it and saying, well, what part of it is do I have control over? What can I do to help this situation be improved? And it switches your mindset right into that more of a problem solving, curious, creative, way of doing it. And so did you have anything else you wanted to kind of add to that, Simon?
No, no, I completely agree. And like I like that you said I've applied it to my own life. Absolutely. And I've it's got me to a place where I didn't think was possible, in terms of how I not only live my own life, but in terms of the relationship that I'm in as well. It's incredible, and this is just the start of many big things to come. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, awesome.
exciting.
Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so then we can transition to my topic, and
Hmm.
it actually fits very well into the what would be the follow-on from Simon's topic, because if you are able to read The Ship in the Sea and really get an idea of, okay, what's my responsibility? What's what I have control over, and then what I don't, get really clear on that. And he gives you great examples and kind of guides you to know what to do with that. And then you might, after you figure out, okay, well, what's my part of in this, then it just belonging cues is kind of like the next step. It's kind of like, okay, okay, good. I have responsibility. What am I going to do with that responsibility?
Hmm.
And so I wanted to share with you belonging cues. And then again, like I told you at the beginning, we're going to tie this back to specific concerns that the people in the group have shared, specific challenges. And so I will share with you what belonging cues are. So maybe you've heard of them. It's not something I've coined. It's kind of out there. But it's this idea that you send messages to your partner, and this is again not just in committed relationships, it can be in any kind of interaction, but you send cues. And when I say cues, it means you are sending the message. And there are a lot of ways you can send messages, right? Verbal, nonverbal, and with your actions. There's all kinds of ways you can send this message. So we're calling them cues. And you can send these cues to your partner that means you belong here with me. And it's like, you have a future here. Like you are someone I see a future together, and you belong in my life. So that's the just the basic definition of belonging cues. And the cues can also say, we have high standards. Like together as a team, we have high standards, and we feel confident in each other to meet those standards. A lot of times people think that when they send messages of love and kindness and belonging, that means that the other person has no responsibility then to change or grow or improve, or or do something together where your standards are high instead of low. So it's exciting to share this message with you because it's not everywhere. You don't find this message everywhere that says you can send belonging cues and it enriches and grows your relationship in such a way that the high standards are then met. It's not a settling kind of thing, and so it does take a little bit of practice when you apply this. And Simon is available as a relationship coach, and he can help you through the steps that you need to make this kind of your go-to reality. And so I would love it if any of you are interested. If you reached out to Simon, you can message him through the group, or look for him on his website. So these are really powerful ideas once they are in application. So sometimes when we share our ideas, they make so much sense and they're so like simple that someone's like, oh yeah, I could have thought of that. But the key is in integration into your life. That's where the power
Mm,
is. Like when you're
mm,
actually taking the responsibility back, then you can make change. And when you send these belonging cues out to your partner, and then you're creating this relationship where it can grow exponentially, right, Simon?
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, it's really exciting when you start getting to that point. And I wonder, do we want to say anything about what happens when someone doesn't receive those belonging cues, or do we wait and not say that yet, Stacey? What do you think?
Oh, we can we
To
can
be
try it.
continued.
Yeah, it's actually a question that someone's who's viewing this might be thinking, like, well, yeah, I send belonging cues all the day long.
Mm,
But the other person doesn't receive them. And
yeah.
so that is a really good question. So when you're sending these belonging cues, realize, and this just goes hand in hand with the ship in the sea, because what is your responsibility to send,
Mm,
these messages, but it's not, it's the sea part if how they receive the cues.
mhm,
So you can send them and feel that love, and send that those welcoming, loving thoughts and actions to the other person, but it is their responsibility how they respond. So it's completely the sea then, right? It's
mhm.
okay. Well, the sea's going to be choppy today.
Yeah. You can still navigate through it.
You can, you
Absolutely.
can. And here's
Mm,
a little tip that's kind of like advanced coaching that I'll just
mm.
throw out there. And that is that you can actually give your spouse or your partner the gift of being choppy today. And I know it sounds strange to say it's a gift, but really, if you can like wrap it up in a bow and just mentally say, you know what, I'm just going to let you feel as unhappy as you want to today, and I'll still love you, and I'll still be here for you, but you don't have to then become choppy yourself. So
Mm,
it's kind of a fun, kind of
yeah.
higher level, right? Because it's kind of ingrained in us to match our partner's moods.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really good because then you'll remain centered within yourself that you are not being affected by the other person's, you know, down emotions, so to speak. So, yeah, I like that. And also, having that communication about it, seeing it for what it is. There are lots of times when this can happen and it's unwritten, it's unsaid. It's just happening, and you wonder, wow, I'm in a bit of a mood now myself, and
Yes.
why am I in a bit of a mood? But actually being able to express that, oh, hold on, this is what's happening, this is what I observe, this is where I am, I see where you are. Let's try to, find a way together. Yeah, not to have such things left unsaid. I think that's very
Yes.
important.
Oh, so good. That communication to even describe to them what your cues are. Like sometimes we can be sending cues and they don't receive them because they're not the way that they perceive that you're
Mm,
sending belonging cues. They could actually feel rejection from your belonging cues if you don't kind of explain it.
mm. And even when you explain it, it can still happen. It can still
Exactly.
happen. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. It can
Oh,
still happen, which when it does, if it still happens, that's the C again, right? That's something
yeah, absolutely.
outside of your
Yeah.
control.
You're doing it for yourself. This is what's important to me. I can express my sense of love, care, support for my partner, and that's where I want to be. And what
Yeah.
they do with that information is up to them. That's in their responsibility. I have responsibility for myself. Yes.
Exactly. I love that. I actually I have an analogy. No, it's not an analogy. It's actually something that we came up with. My daughter doesn't like it when I gush, when I say positive reinforcing compliments to her. She calls that ooey gooey. She's like, "Mom, when you do that, it's gross." Ooey gooey. She's like, "I don't like it." And for me, that's my love language. If someone says to me, "Stacey, I appreciate you. I love that you did this thing. Like, you're awesome." Oh my gosh, that's like, wonderful, right? So for me, it's this bright, shining globe of warm light when people send those messages to me. So I'm taking this beautiful, warm, shining globe of light and I'm handing it to my daughter, and she's like, "Ugh, gross."
Gooey, gooey.
So we've had to come up with
Great.
alternative ways of communicating belonging cues. So you have to get creative.
Ooh, oh, great stuff. Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah.
Yep, yep. Okay, so now let's apply it
Mm.
to the questions, and I'll let you go
Mm.
first, Simon. So you can go ahead and
Yeah.
adjust.
So one of the messages we received, in essence, it's the idea that one person approaches tasks in one way, and his partner approaches tasks in another way. And through this process, instead of trying to change the other person, they seem to be, at least from the message, in harmony with this idea that the other person is different. And that's linking back to ship in the sea. Well, if you have one way of approaching something, you can't expect that someone else is going to be reacting, doing the things the same way as you do, because that's outside of your control. We may talk, I'm sure, about positive influence another time. We don't want to cram it all into this one session. uh, Give the people something to look forward to, of course. But yes, in essence, I liked this message because when you are taking then personal responsibility and acceptance and letting go of trying to control how someone else approaches tasks, it just boosts you into a different realm, because then you see, okay, that's their way of doing things. How do I want to respond? We can respond with belonging cues, for example, as Stacey's just been mentioning, and it's just a different way of perceiving the other person and how they approach something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd say on that.
Nice, 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 nice. Okay, very good. And then I wanted to tell you that I have a course that my daughter and I collaborate we collaborated on, and
Yes.
it's it's in the still beginning stages. It's in its beta phase. So we've created about 5 videos, 5 days worth of content, and we would love it if anyone is interested that could we will give the link. So I'll put the link in the comments so that you can go in, and I actually have a video describing belonging cues, and we have some examples and things. And so I'll put that link below. There's an option for coupon codes that you can choose to donate to the cause so that we make more of these videos. Or if you're in a tight spot financially and you're just like, hey, I just want to check this out for free, there's that option too. So I will put that link in the comments. So look for that, as well as Simon's The Ship and the Sea PDF. So
Cool.
now I'll connect it back to the person whose concerns that they shared their challenges with me. So this is kind of the summary, is that they're kind of stuck between two big choices. One is staying where they are and keeping their life really stable for their kids and for herself. And then the other one is to kind of work things out with her husband, which could involve some instability and transitions and difficult lifestyle changes as well, like where they're living, those types of things. So the problem is that there's a lot in the way because they're both feeling disrespected and their families don't get along. This came up quite a bit in this person's challenging experience, is that their families don't get along. She's more invested in this relationship than the extended family or her children are. And so she's finding that she's got other relationships competing for this relationship. And she's not sure she's ready to make the changes that she would need to make this relationship work. She feels like it's kind of like, oh, I make them happy or I make him happy. I'm caught in the middle. And so it's very challenging. And she's trying to figure out the very best path forward. And so for her, we would, if we were coaching her, we would try to help her see what parts of it she has responsibility for, and also what her desired outcome is independent of all of these other people, right? Because it's like, what is the best outcome? We'd help her do this thing that Simon and I both do in our coaching. It's called the best case, the worst case, and the most likely. But we don't do it in that order. It's a little different order than that. But you know what I mean? Like helping them see it as what does she want? Like, yes, there's her kids. Yes, there's the spouse. What does she want? What does she care about? And what's within her control? And so that's the ship in the sea. So I would totally advocate for this person who shared their concerns to go read The Ship in the Sea, and then also get the link for Belonging Cues, that video, because that will really help her get in her mind what it is that she really wants, and then what she has responsibility for. And then anyone that she's in a relationship with, these kids, this extended family, her husband, she can start using belonging cues. And one of the things that I wanted to say about belonging cues that's so powerful, so I wanted to wait until the end, so it was kind of like your last takeaway, and that is the power of belonging cues is not so much what the other person gets when you're sending them, it's how you're feeling when you're sending them. Your internal state when you're sending these messages changes. Oh my gosh, changes. If you're genuinely sending a belonging cue from your heart, it changes how you interact with them. It changes how you view them. So it's much more about the ship in this case than the sea.
Absolutely. Nice. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Cool. So we'll send these posts out periodically saying, hey, what's on your mind? What would you like us to talk about? What are some topics or struggles or challenges or just things you're interested in the context of in the context of committed relationships, and especially exponential ones, because exponential relationships get better and better over time, whereas the trajectory of normal relationships is usually not better and better over time. It's either you just settle or you separate. That's kind of the trend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is the new trend. Exponential relationships is the new trend. Yeah. Yeah. And Simon and I
Mm,
are both experiencing these relationships that get better and better over time. And so it's exciting to share this with all of you.
absolutely. Yay. Cool. Great. So, what do we do now then, Stacey?
So yeah, we want everyone to tune in to our next one, and thank everyone for watching till the end. Woohoo, good job. Yeah, and then share this group with friends and family. It's a public
Mm,
group, so they don't need an invite in order to join, but it's like yeah, it's an amazing group where people are sharing and learning and growing together, and it's a place where we can go to understand more about relationships that get better and better over time.
wow.
Okay,
Awesome. Yeah.
thanks everyone.
Brilliant.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.